All right, what's going on, y'all? I hope this microphone is trying to say the same thing every video. Um, hope this microphone is actually picking up what I'm saying, because it sounds okay, but you know, it's not like as clear as I would like it to be. But it's a better step, and it's a better step in the right direction for audio quality than what I had before, because the video that I had before, it just, the audio in it sounded horrible. So hold on one second. Oh man, it's kind of weird about talking uh, around people. I don't like rushing when I'm first starting videos. So if the intro seems kind of slow and dry, I'm sorry. I just when I try to just rush into like the main part of the video, I feel like I just end up just, I don't know, it just doesn't really feel natural or like it comes out as good, you know. Kind of like warming a car up, if that makes any sense. Like you just jump in it on a really cold day and try to like just drive. It'll still go, but I mean, I can tell the difference. I've done it before. I've tried to start my car on like really, really cold days when it's like during the time, just to see what would happen. It'll drive, but you'll notice like the performance for a while will be kind of shitty. So it's kind of like that with me and like videos. And I know a lot of people like to, you know, videos to be a certain kind of way, and I'm actually trying to get better, but then again, I'm kind of not. See, I'm such like a contradiction. Like I really don't. I don't like sticking to like any kind of real format or right way of doing something, because I feel like when I start doing that, it just kind of just seems like I'm just trying to do something a certain way just to get a certain particular supposed result. That's supposedly the result that you get if you do things a certain way on YouTube or the internet. And I'm just like, fuck all that. So, but yeah, I am at work right now. So I did want to make this video. And I'm going to name it, I chose to name it Cosmic Sanctuary for many reasons. Just because, as many other people are probably just going through certain cycles in their life, or you can call them waves, because to me, like, these cycles, they actually seem to be kind of well, I just said that, cyclical, or um it's emotional waves or roller coasters or states of being in my life as I progress in my life, basically, and arrive at different levels of awareness or understanding or just perspective, just seeing things now versus how I seen things before at another period of my existence, life, evolution, spiritual evolution, whatever you want to call it, as you get older. Some people can just say as you get older, you see things differently. And I just, it's just crazy. Like just today, I had a realization, and I'm sorry if y'all can't see my face that well. This camera is not very good with low light. So if y'all can't see me that well, I'm sorry. I did just get a 360 camera. So let me make sure this is actually recording. Yeah, it is. Okay. I did just get a 360 camera. Um, so that works really good. Actually, it's really good quality. But they actually have another version that is specifically designed to capture really good quality images and videos at night. So it's kind of pricey, but eventually, I'm not going to invest in it right now, but eventually, I am going to start. I am going to get that because I do want to like make more footage of me riding at night and stuff like that. So eventually, it's a certain kind of lens that you know filters in and out light a certain kind of way where you can get really good footage at night. It's like the Insta360 X5 or something like that. So I haven't really gotten that good with my regular 360 camera. So I'm going to wait before I go and spend that kind of money and upgrade and stuff like that. I got to still kind of, master the one I got and make content with the one I got and videos and vlogs and stuff like that with the one I got. And then after a while, I'm going to start to utilize that particular camera. So, yeah, so when I make videos like this right here, outside and it's not good lighting, I'll be able to get good natural light with that particular camera that and the lens that it uses. So anyway, and also one more thing too, just a not shout out, just a quick mention. I have a store, a merch store, a clothing store, a brand that I'm starting. I'm gonna link that store in the description. Even if y'all don't buy anything, if y'all could just like send some traffic over there. I'm trying to get that store, get that website more traffic. Even if you just go and look around, I am still, taking designs off, add new designs, trying to just put some more unique designs on there. But if y'all would, it would help me out a lot, just giving that website some traffic. I mean, if you do buy something, that's great too. But if you can't, then that's fine too. But just I'm trying to get some traffic so I can, just get some traffic because that matters. Or you can just share the link. And also too, I'm going to be ordering. Well, actually, I already ordered me some merchandise last week. I'm going to be ordering more, and I'm going to use my Insta360 camera to just kind of like do like showings on certain designs I have, because the camera that I have, it has like a AI tracking feature where the camera will literally follow you by itself. So I'm going to be making some videos like that, showcasing some of my design shirts and stuff that I made. So I'll have some of those videos coming out soon. I was about to say that I want to get some like, people, girls, mainly girls, but I mean guys can do it too, to model some of my clothes, and in exchange for that, I'll give you like free merch. Just you can take a few pics in it and post it, or you can pick out certain designs you want, and then in exchange for helping me to advertise my brand, you get free shit basically. It takes like a few seconds. Just you can make like a quick video of you wearing it in certain poses, and you can send them to me, and I can basically put them on my site, just for advertising purposes. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I wanted to do that. Just throw that out there. Just get some people to kind of model my stuff. Women, or guys. But I was originally, wanting a few girls to do it, but I mean, guys, obviously, my clothing brand is for guys and girls, obviously. So, but yeah, that was just something. If anyone's interested in that, just feel free to leave like a comment underneath this. And like I said, you can visit the website if you see something that you like. let me know. And all I ask is that you take a few pictures and then let me use them to, just basically on like on a website of some people wearing my stuff, or maybe like on like my profile, to kind of help promote my brand. So if you're cool with that, you're comfortable with that, let me know. You get free shit. So yeah. All right, so I got that out the way. I gotta start doing that. I gotta start promoting the website and the brand, because if you don't talk about it, nobody ain't gonna know about it. So anyway, yeah, that's that. But anyway, yeah, back to the video. So like I was saying earlier today, oh, one more thing too. Sorry, one more thing concerning the brand. So something else kind of cool that I was gonna do was to utilize. They got these drones out now that can take pictures of. It can basically follow you and track you, follow your movement. It can walk with you. You can program it to follow you, to circle around you, to follow your movement in a certain direction or path. So I was going to probably, not probably, I am going to buy one of those to help to, create footage of my brand, of my shirts and designs that I'm basically wearing. So I don't have to necessarily always have somebody taking pictures for me. So that was something else that I'm going to probably, and those aren't, super expensive at all. They're basically just drones that you basically launch in the air, and you can program them to follow your movement, take videos of you, or take pictures of you, in certain intervals or time frames. So that was something else really cool that I'm gonna basically implementing to kind of help promote, my clothes, my brand, and I'm just trying to evolve. And like I said, man, I've been working, on this brand for a long time, on and off. I put it down for a while, then I kind of get back on it, because sometimes I need to just put it down because, I got other stuff going on. But and as I put it down, I kind of, look at what's really not effective. And I've actually thrown out a lot of designs that I just didn't really feel like were really what I wanted them to be going forward. And I probably will, get rid of more as I create more. But you gotta start somewhere though. I watched this video where it was like a business owner, and it's just this young guy that goes around basically interviewing successful, millionaires and billionaires and stuff like that. And he was asking this one guy, how he got so successful, and, basically just getting advice for his viewers that were watching his channel. And one of the things that one of the guys said was like, you're never going to do anything perfect. You're never going to get anything just right starting out. And that's one of my problems that I had with my whole brand was, you know, being afraid to put something out that people thought that was ugly or it wasn't really good enough. And now I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. There's a style for everybody. Everybody has a style. And even if people don't like my stuff, at least I tried and at least I did it my way. Um, but one of the things that he said that really, made me think was, you can't be afraid to put stuff out that people aren't going to like, that people might think is not good enough or just bad even, you got to just go for it and just say, screw it, fuck it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But if it's something you want to do, just do it. So I'm no longer really afraid of just, trying, because it's like, I've never really tried a lot of things. Okay, I'll put it this way. I've never really tried something or certain things for long periods of time and given myself time to get better at it, to learn it better, and to become more skilled at it, to where I just naturally get better at it. I just I'll start certain things, and when it starts to seem kind of hard, I'll just kind of put it down. I've never really done something new long enough to you know, get good and skilled at it. So that's one thing that I'm trying to change about my behavior or habits. You know, that is something. You know, if I try something new and it's harder than I thought, I'll be like, ah. Typically, I won't want to do it anymore, or I won't want to do it as much. But I'm like, well, what would happen if I just kept trying it, even if I suck, and I kept doing it long enough to get better at it, long enough to learn, you know, better ways to do it, you know, long enough to over time get more skilled at whatever I'm doing. What if I just did that without really needing any kind of, you know, outcome or having any expectation of, you know, success, just doing it just to get better at it, just to see what happens, you know, just to see how good I can get at it. It could be anything. So that's one thing that I'm, you know, trying to do differently now. Um, and yeah, so anyway, that was just something to throw out there. Um, because a lot of people, I think a lot of people are afraid to just do whatever they want to do, and then you end up just never really doing it because you're afraid that it's not good enough. You're afraid of people judging you or judging how you're doing it, or you know, people are really, really critical, you know, and that sometimes that can be very intimidating. So, you know, when you really want to do something specifically to be successful or to succeed or to improve your circumstances, that's intimidating because you know that you're relying on people to like what you're doing, and you want and need people to like it so that you can in turn get the results of success that you want. But I'm at this point now where I'm just like, I'm doing it, but at the same time too, I'm doing it without any real uh expectation. I'm kind of doing it more for just like the experience of doing it and see how good I can get at doing it. And me, you know, possibly turning it into something profitable potentially, you know, if people find value in it, that will be just like an added benefit of me just doing it just to see how good I can get at doing it. You know, it's not like the main reason, because once you make that your main reason, you really don't have the energy, the creative energy to do it, because once you don't get the results, you know, or the, you know, the reactions from people that you want, then you're going to kind of lose motivation to keep doing it if that's what you're specifically doing it for. You know, that's one thing I learned too. You know, but if you're doing it just to see how good you can get, how skillful you can get at it, just because you ain't got shit else better to do, you know, then it's just like, well, if people fuck with it or not, it don't really matter because I wasn't doing it for that, you know? So it kind of takes the pressure off of needing to succeed when it comes to stuff like that, you know, businesses and hobbies and stuff like that. It's just like, I'm not doing it for y'all. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for to exercise the creative part of my brain and my mind, because I feel like if I don't exercise that part of my mind, part of your brain kind of, it just kind of, I don't know, like slowly, I don't know, loses its vibrance. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but you know. Oh man. But but yeah, so but back to the so we're like 19 minutes in. Back to the main part of the discussion. So like I was saying earlier, today and just lately, um, in general, I've been having these you know, just realizations of, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like people close to me. I'm not gonna really go into detail, but you know, people close to me, and just realizing by some of the conversations that, you know, I have with them, and just some of the things that they say, and it's not even in a way of I'm better than anybody, or I think that they're beneath. It's not even a thing like that. It's just a really subtle realization that you kind of just have without really trying to. And it's just certain people that I just realize are on a completely different level of awareness or consciousness. And I know that sounds cliche. I don't even like saying that kind of stuff, honestly, because I even get triggered and annoyed when I hear people say stuff like, "Oh, this and that about higher frequency and higher level of awareness," and But I do believe that there really is. I guess you can call it a separation of different kinds of people. And I really don't like saying that because I get really triggered and annoyed when I hear so-called spiritual people refer to people in this way of where like they're comparing people in like this kind of like this, I guess you can say hierarchical way. To me, it always seems very egotistical. Whenever I hear someone talking about, those kind of people and that kind of people, or, low vibrational people and high vibrational, I get very annoyed. I get very triggered because it comes off to me as just very, very egotistical. And I don't like that energy. And I know they probably feel like, oh, well, you're taking it the wrong way, and maybe I am, but when they're saying it in that energy, I don't feel like they're being confident. I don't feel like they're just being, in their full essence and power. It feels very like someone that's just very much in their ego, and it comes off as very inauthentic and not very genuine. So, that's why I get triggered by it, because it makes me feel like they're full of shit. I don't know how else to say it. It's just, that's how I feel. And that's the energy that it gives. But one thing I realize too is how I perceive things is might not be how it actually is. I just may see it that way and perceive it that way in my bubble of reality. And I had to understand that, everybody don't see things the way I do. And I had to basically take that same understanding when it comes to how people perceive me. Because I used to believe that how people perceive me was actually how I am. And I used to live by that. I used to actually live by the idea that because that person seen me a certain way, like that's who I was. And I'm just realizing and recently coming to the deeper understanding that just because people may treat you a certain way, or and again, this is very cliche sounding, common sense stuff, but just because people treat you a certain way, or even will say things about you or how they perceive you to be, like it's not, it has nothing to do with your actual subjectivity of who you actually are. you know that's why now whenever I hear people say things about, or I feel like they're projecting or putting energy out about some, assumption about, who I am as a person, my personality, or, quote unquote, what kind of energy I have and how it makes them feel. I'm like, well, that's all your perception. It's not me. It's I, what I'm saying? Like, why should I feel bad about how you perceive me? Because I could just as easily say that your energy makes me feel a certain way, and your energy doesn't make me feel good. So, I can turn that right back around on them and say there's something about you that's within you that makes me feel bad, that makes me put out bad energy towards you. When before I was just saying that, well, this person feels like there's something wrong or bad about me, well, so there must be something wrong with me, without actually deeply, questioning, like, well, why am I feeling bad about someone else's projection, perception of me? So that's like the thing that I changed, I tweaked about, my my awareness, my consciousness is not allowing anything that someone says about my character, um, actually affect how I see myself and how I actually walk in my life. But back to the point though. So as I was saying, I had been having these subtle epiphanies and realizations that, like I said, there are different levels of awareness that people have, that people are at, and it's becoming more and more noticeable because whenever I have conversations with people about stuff and the things that they're saying, it's just like, and I'm trying to not look at them in that way because I feel like when it happens, I feel like I kind of feel guilty because I kind of feel like subconsciously I'm judging them, and I don't mean to be. But then again, it's just like this weird feeling of like, you know, really, do you really believe that? Are you really that gullible to believe that that's how things really are? Or like, and it's just getting really, really harder for me to connect with some people um, on certain levels now because the conversations seem extremely, extremely like just, this is going to sound, this is why I'm not going to go into detail about who these people are because I don't want to give the wrong impression. I'm just trying to be genuine. I'm trying to be real. But it just seems like, you know, the perspective and it's just very, very closed-minded and uninformed and just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I be wanting to say like, there's a lot about that whole perspective that you have that you really don't even realize there's more to it than what you're just being told on the news and it's so weird to me now when I hear people talk about certain things now. So it's just like, wow, you really do believe that. You really believe that, like this is really your perspective of reality, you know? And it's so wild to me just seeing the the separation of the different levels of awareness because it's almost like the dividing line of people's consciousness or awareness, levels of awareness to me is becoming more and more distinct. And these are people that are close to me. And I feel myself in a very invisible way separating from that perception of reality. And it's kind of weird because it's almost like I'm watching people kind of, their consciousness, so to speak, kind of go down this timeline of a certain perception of reality versus mine is expanding in another direction or another level of awareness. And again, I know how it sounds. It sounds big headed. It sounds like, oh, I know more than them, or oh, I got to know all this stuff. And I'm not trying to sound like that. I'm trying to express this in as like authentically and genuinely as I can because I got to get it off my chest because I've been going through this, you know what I'm saying? I don't really know how to express it besides just saying it like this, you know? So, and it's nuts to me, but it's not that I don't respect these people any less or look down on them, but there's definitely, there's definitely, a separation invisibly, I think, when it comes to, you know, spirit or consciousness, whatever you want to call it, and the levels of awareness of it. I definitely see that. I definitely see that separation. I see it. I feel it. And again, I'm not. Like I said, I almost hate saying stuff like this because I kind of feel like some of those people that I kind of don't like, because I kind of feel like they're kind of like in their ego when they're speaking about it. I kind of feel like they're speaking about it in a sense of trying to look like they're better than other people on for more superficial reasons, even though they may feel like that's not the case. I kind of feel like I'm doing that by just saying stuff like this, but I'm being as honest as I can. So yeah, man, I've just been noticing it and I've been just feeling it. And it's weird. It's almost like you're leaving them behind, even though like physically they're not going anywhere. If anybody has ever gone through this, they know what I'm talking about. You can be in a room with somebody, but like where their mind is at and how they see reality in existence is like universes apart from you. Like, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, that feeling when like you've had these experiences, you've had these awakenings or whatever you want to call them, and your perception of everything has been completely obliterated, dissolved. Space and time, all that shit has been completely just, blown away. Like all your former beliefs on everything basically has been completely destroyed in good and bad ways. And what you're kind of left with is just the raw reality of everything just kind of is. It's not really any true definitive definition of existence. Everything just kind of is. There's no real, necessarily any real distinctive, definite line of good and bad or right and wrong. It's all just kind of here and happening. And depending on, what you label as good and bad, it kind of depends on what side of the experience you're on, or if it's happening to you versus you doing it. Then, okay, that was a bad thing or a bad experience, or it depends on so many different factors. If, because there's so much information on things that happen just by you not having other details about the event, a full 360, awareness of all the details of an event could give you the illusion of it being good or bad, depending on what perspective you had and what details you had of the event. Could completely define your perspective of, in your definition of what you label it, rather of you labeling it good or bad, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So in reality, it's weird like that, and I'm realizing that reality is just kind of unrolling like that. It's unrolling in this very, very kind of chaotic, random way where, people believe that, there's some type of, stable, defined ground of, how things really are. And really, it's not. There's just this illusion in this program of, what we've been told about how things actually are. But that's the illusion. Like that's the trick. That's the smoke and mirrors. Nothing is actually truly definitive and absolute. It's all just based off of the information that you have, which creates the perspective or perception of basically anything and everything, which you label as good, bad, evil, good, whatever. So, understanding that and having this expanded, infinite, perspective of existence and reality is both a gift and a curse, because you kind of start to see the insanity and the beauty in everything at the same time, including yourself, the people you deal with. You know, you just kind of start to see things in their raw form, just raw as they actually are, without actually the programmed things that you've been told to believe about them or what they're supposed to be. You actually just see things plainly as they are. You just take out all the program beliefs of how you've been told to define things, or how you've been told to define yourself or see the world, or how the world is supposed to look and what it's supposed to look like, and what you're supposed to see when you look at the world and yourself and people. So that's what I've been going through. And one of the good things about it that's coming from it for me is basically pretty much allowing me to kind of learn how to create my own sacred like space of what I define reality as, like what I believe it to be, what it means to me. It's teaching me how to kind of mold reality based off of my perception, my beliefs, and my experience. Because for so long, I've been going by the beliefs and the projections of other people and what they've been telling me to believe about it, what to believe about myself, and who they've been telling me that I am. So it's teaching me kind of almost how to manipulate and mold my reality based on my personal subjective experience and how I see things, my beliefs, my morals, my truth. Like that's what I'm going by now, because everything outside of you, or basically everything else, is trying to, shape it for you. But I'm learning that, like, no, actually, I can shape and mold my reality based off of my subjective experience, because this isn't about anybody else but me. As egotistical as that sounds, it is about me. The world does revolve around me. In that sense, in that context, the world does revolve around you. Or in my particular case, the world does revolve around me, because nobody else has lived my life in my body and seen and had the exact experiences as I've had, and had their perception molded based off of the experience in this life, in this body, the way that I have. No one's had my exact experiences. They may have had some similar, but nobody has lived my life. So therefore, nobody has the right or the authority to tell me truly how I should see life, because no one has going through exactly what I've gone through based off of my own subjective experience. Therefore, I have every divine right to make decisions based off of what I've learned and experienced, and the wisdom that has taught me. There may be people that may say that I'm wrong for seeing the world the way that I do and feeling how I do, but again, as a creator in my reality, in my universe, I have the divine right to say, well, listen, I understand your side of it. And I'm not saying, I will take in other perspectives and ideas that I feel may be useful to me. I'm not saying I'm too proud or too arrogant to take advice from other people. But what I'm saying is I'm no longer solely going by what other people are saying based off of their experiences of how they feel things are. You know what I'm saying? And then using that to define my own worth, my own value, my own perception of self. Like, no, I take what is useful from other people and I discard the rest that I don't feel applies to me. And that's how I move through life now. like I said, when I do that, that allows me to create literally a sacred space or a cosmic sanctuary for myself or my consciousness, to where it's like, okay, I know there's all this noise out here, and everybody and everything is trying to tell me this is how you should see the world, and this is what you should think, and this is what you should believe, and this is how you should move, and this is how you should be, and blah 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 blah, blah. All that noise, all that talk, that's all based off of other people's subjective experiences and their reality, in their bodies, in their universe. And again, I have no problem with seeing other perspectives and taking advice that I feel could be useful or could help me. But I'm just no longer, you know, taking people's other people's truths at face value when I don't truly feel like that resonates with me based off of my subjective, you know, experience and reality. Now, like I said, I'm all about collaboration and meeting at a middle ground. And I always strive to do that. But anyone that's just like, well, look, this is how I see it. There is no middle ground. There is no, you know, meeting halfway. Like it's either my way or the highway. I'm like, well, okay, well, I'll respect that, but I don't see it that way. I cannot adopt that viewpoint based off of my personal subjective experience. That's because to me, then it's like I'm completely denying the wisdom of, you know, my soul and my, you know, my subjective divine experience of life and reality. And I'm just cutting off the wisdom that I gained from life because you said that I should see things and do things this way, you know? And I don't completely fully agree with, you know, your narrative or your perspective that you believe only because of the subjective experiences that you had in your life, you know? So in that way, that helps me to almost create a safe space where when the pressure becomes too much and I feel like, oh, I'm just not meeting, you know, society's expectations or somebody's expectations, could be anybody, could be family, could be, you know, whoever, girlfriend, wife, you know, I remind myself, well, listen, these people only believe what they believe because of their own personal subjective experience of their reality in life, in their body. Had they not had those experiences, their beliefs in the way that they see life in the, you know, life in the world and what they believe about it could be completely and totally different. Because all that we have, all of our beliefs are strictly based off of our experiences. You know, our perception and beliefs are based off our experiences. So, you know, if our experiences again would have changed, our beliefs, our thoughts would be completely different. And I, you know, I always remind myself of that. You know, and that's where I'm learning to, you know, kind of find this harmony or like you know, this level of peace or calm in the chaos. It's just realizing that truth. Nobody's right. Nobody's right about anything. You know, nobody's right and nobody's wrong. You know, and so I had to also kind of accept and give up the fact that, okay, I'm right, because I feel this way. And it's like, well, I only felt the way based off of my experience. You know, had I experienced things differently and had different experiences, I may have had completely different beliefs, you know, about how I feel about reality and how I feel about certain things. You know, I had to be honest and acknowledge that, you know, just because I strongly feel this way about these things or whatever, like, it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily right. I'm right based off of my experiences, but I'm not right outside of the personal subjective experience of my life, which basically gave me the perspective or the perception of life that I have now. So I had to, because it goes both ways. I had to acknowledge that, I can't say that, you know, other people might not be right and then say that, oh, I'm definitely right. Like, no, nobody's actually right. Everybody's just seeing things and understanding things based off of their own subjective experience and perception of reality, based off of their experiences of reality. So yeah, that basically what allows me to create a bubble of, you can call it protection, you can call it a sanctuary of my own universe, where everybody else's thoughts and beliefs are not trying to force me to be a certain way or become a certain thing that I don't truly at a deep level believe is healthy for me. Again, I'm all about I'm all for collaboration and expanded ideas and perspectives and hold on a second, expanded just other ways of seeing things that could be beneficial to me, the way that other people see stuff. I'm very open to again, other perspectives that could be beneficial to me and other people. But I know there's a time and place where I have to kind of, you know, get into my own sacred space or bubble of my truth, where I kind of know when to kind of cut off all that other outside noise and just reside in my truth, in my bubble of, my truth, my knowing, no matter what the world or other people are saying. And that's hard to do sometimes because we're kind of programmed to believe that if everybody's saying this or seeing things this way, then they must be right. So how they say, like, well, everybody can't be wrong. Well, yes, they can actually. Sometimes everybody can be wrong. For example, when everyone was taking certain things that we had all the evidence in the world was dangerous to you, and everybody was doing it, or at least mostly everybody was doing it. Yeah, in that context, yes, everybody was wrong. In my opinion, that was not very intelligent. That was not a very intelligent thing to do. But again, that's just my perspective based off of my level of awareness and how I was seeing things. So, anyway. But I'm gonna get ready to close this out here soon. But I'm gonna say this too. I just found out today that somebody in my family died. No, I didn't know them extremely well. I wasn't extremely close to them. And I'm not really sure, like, I talked to her not too long ago. And somehow we got onto the topic or the subject of, spirituality, briefly. And I forget exactly what we were talking about, but somehow I said something to her about, just something about some of the experiences I'll be having spiritually sometimes. I think she was kind of into, I guess she would label as spirituality a little bit. Again, I didn't talk to her a lot. You know, I didn't, really know her that well, but I kind of knew her generally in a general way. It was kind of like one of those kind of relations. I didn't see this family member very often, but again, during somebody else's funeral, we got onto the topic of spiritual type stuff and experience that I kind of briefly mentioned to her some of the weird experiences I have spiritually speaking. And, she was like, you need to find somebody and pass that down to them. You know what I'm saying? In your family. And at the time, I didn't really get why she would say that because I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not super young, but I'm getting older. But for whatever reason, she felt like it was something important. I guess you can say my awareness, my um, level, I guess my consciousness, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. And I'm saying this trying not to sound big headed or anything like that, because I know, because I get annoyed when people sound like that. So I don't want to sound like that myself. But for whatever reason, she said that I should basically find a way to spread that, and I forget what she said, like my DNA, my bloodline, or something like that. And I was kind of just was like, yeah, I don't know, okay. you know I don't know if she was talking about like just talking about it or like spreading it or like having a kid or something like that. I don't know, but I was like, I didn't really understand why she would say that, but that's the person that I found out today. She just died suddenly. Like nobody really knows like how she died. I was told that they found her and they said she was sick, but she was, you know, she, from what I was told, she didn't, they didn't really have any um signs that she was gonna die in the way she did. Which I'm not sure what sickness she had, but as far as I know, she wasn't like sick like that. It was just, according to what I was told, it was a very kind of unexpected, sudden thing that they just found her, you know. And I don't know why I felt the need to share that, but it was just something weird because, like I said, I just found that out today. I had to actually give my mother a ride to go pick up her car because she had her battery had went dead, and it was a good distance from the house. So I had to basically um, go to that area and take her to her car and help her get her car started. Um, so that was what I did earlier today. That's when I found out. But that's just that, again. That was just something that I found out today. One thing I will say though is um, today, excuse me, I had an experience where the the person that my mother's vehicle got stranded at, kind of in a small way, like helped me. I won't say help me. Well, yeah. I'll say help me to like kind of get restored. I guess you can say restored faith in people to some extent. And this isn't the only time this has happened, but it was an older black lady. Like I said, my mother's car got stranded, and she had to get a ride back home from my sister yesterday because I was at work, and I took her back down there today. But this lady that my mother's car got stranded at, like complete stranger, gave her money to get a new battery, like for no reason. And yeah, I was shocked because the battery had costed like $300, and the lady, she was like, "Yeah, I just wanted to bless you," you know. And I thought that was, 'cause, I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So I thought that was just amazing that a complete stranger would do something like that for her, because I didn't realize that. I thought that my mother had knew the lady from work, but like my mother was like, "Yeah, I just met her yesterday." And yeah, she helped us, like she helped my mom. Um she like well, yesterday she basically, I mean, it was crazy. She basically had took my mother's car to she got my mother's car to start because it was completely dead. She got it to start somehow. I don't know what she did, but she had some help. But she got it to finally start, and then she drove it down to the auto store to have the battery tested, to basically just to verify that it was a bad battery, so that my mother didn't buy one for, or didn't get one for no reason. And that was yesterday. And then today I brought my mother back up there to pick up the car and to get a battery for it. And yeah, she literally gave my mother the money for a brand new battery. And I was like, I was shocked, because I was like, wow, like that's a very, very kind thing for someone to do. So whenever I experience stuff like that and I witness it, it kind of, I guess you could say, in a subtle way, like just kind of um unhardens my heart a little bit about life and the world, because I ain't gonna lie, like my heart has become very hardened from just life and the things that I've experienced, and how I feel about people sometimes. But when I see stuff like that, when I experience it, it just kind of lightens it a little bit, because she didn't have to do that. It ain't her problem. You know what I'm saying? No, most people can't. Not everybody can just you know give $300 for a battery to a complete stranger. But like the fact that she did that, and she had the means to do it, and she was, you know, um, out of kindness of her heart. To me, that's a very, very kind thing to do. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that, put that energy out, because, like I said, I don't forget stuff like that. Like I said, it wasn't for me, but it was for my mom. So like I kind of took it like for me, because it's my mother. So you know it was a big deal. So but anyway, yeah, I'm gonna basically I guess end this, because it's going on almost an hour now, like 57 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this. And until next time, I will talk to you guys later. But yeah, I'm gonna leave a link to my store in the description. And again, there's no pressure like to buy anything, because I'm looking at implementing other ways to promote the website. And like I said, I still got a lot of work to do on it, like just the aesthetics of it, and just what I'm saying. It's a process, but there's this new like app that I'm gonna get ready to start using to help me to advertise and stuff like that. I don't think it costs that much, but I'm going to start using that. But like I said, you guys could just maybe share the link, or just go on there, get some traffic on there. It definitely does help. And again, if any of y'all are interested in, you see anything you're interested in, that you would like to model to get free merch, let me know. Um, and yeah, let me know. Give me some feedback on what you think about the website, the designs that I have so far. I don't mind taking feedback and you know um, opinions, as long as it's like in a constructive, respectful way. Not just trying to tear somebody down, or making them feel bad about you don't do it my way. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm all for suggestions and how I can improve. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but yeah, I guess that's basically it. I will talk to you guys later. I always have a hard time like figuring out how to end this, because it used to just be a button that you would like press to like stop, but like now it's like a, I don't know, like a stop button or something. Like I don't know how they got it. The same thing happened last time. Let me see. Do you share it, or I guess I don't know. Uh, oh, it's still going. Oh, it's still going. All right. How do you end this? There's no like stop button. I don't know. You use X out. Okay. Yes. Okay, yes.